How can you get the same learnings of one of the marketing space's most popular books without having to read hundreds of pages? Well, in today's video, I'm about to share with you this cheat sheet that was released in 2007 that covers the top learnings from breakthrough advertising. And I'll even share with you my thoughts as to how this applies to the Facebook ad and TikTok ad space online. And if you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am, my name is Justin. I'm the founder of paidadvertising.com, an e-commerce growth firm specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. We've spent over $12 million on ads in the last 3 or so years. We're on track to spend about $3.5 million on ads this year alone. And with that said, let's get started. So the Screaming Eagle was essentially this publication that released a cheat sheet for breakthrough advertising, which in fact, if you want to get this cheat sheet, feel free to check the link down below and join our free school community, which you'll be able to find it right in there. So the first one is about the desire. I think there's something that I hear quite a lot in the e-commerce space more specifically is that you create desire, right? You can sell any type of product, like any product, no matter how good or poor it is, you can basically turn dust into gold. Well, it's not fully true. You just channel whatever desire already exists. People already want the thing you're selling. You just have to do so or channel it with the market's force. So as an example right here, it says the power, the force, the overwhelming urge to own what makes advertising works comes from the market itself and not from the copy. Which back then, again, newspaper ads was kind of the main medium for advertising. So if you bring that to today, it's not necessarily fully copy anymore. It's also the ad creative, which in other words means that the desire doesn't necessarily come from the ad creative itself. It comes within the market. And if you keep reading, it says it can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the hearts of millions of people and focus those already existing desires onto a particular product. Which is why I personally put a lot of emphasis before making any Facebook or TikTok ads, a lot of emphasis on the research phase. Like my research process is longer than the concepting phase, right? Like the positioning part of making an ad, making sure the desire is the right one, making sure you're targeting the right like ideal customer profile. That is where the money is in, because that is what it's talking about right here. This is the copywriter's task, essentially not to create this mass desire, but to channel and direct it. And I'll read you another passage right here. This is the trap that many fall in trying to educate their prospects about the product. While education can play a role in marketing, its role is not to create desire. The only purpose of education is to convince and show prospects that your product or service fulfills the desire that, as Gene puts it, which is Eugene Schwartz, the original writer of breakthrough advertising, already exists inside them. So I hear that too quite a lot. It's like, oh, well, at scale, I really have to educate my audience, right? I have to kind of create awareness. It's rare that you create awareness. It's rare also that you're one of the first one to come out with a new invention or product. Although new, most of the time people have seen something somewhat remotely similar to what you offer. So you simply have to attach or redirect their attention essentially from an already existing channel, product, service towards yours. I'll go one step further. It says right here that desire is not created, it's channel. I'll say that in today's day and age, it's the same thing with attention. You don't necessarily create attention anymore, because to create attention, right, a lot of people say that online, like you need to create attention, you need to create attention. Like it's really more about capturing attention, because attention is already there. It's a little bit like oil, right? Like oil's already in the soil, you have to extract it, you have to capture it. Well, in that case, there's only so many eyeballs that can cover the internet. There's only so many eyeballs that will go on the internet. There'll always be a part of the population that will either refuse to go on the internet or just cannot have access to the internet, which therefore means we're honestly, like if you look at right now, the more and more the years will go by, there'll be a few more people on the internet, but you've got such a big portion of the people already on there. It's just like a ping pong game. You know, you've got the attention for a day, and then another brand will for the next day, and then they'll flip it back your way, and then that's it. Like you're playing with attention, you're trading attention essentially. I've seen that too recently in a reel that came up on my Instagram feed, which was something like, it was this traditional thing about like, sell me this pen, essentially, like sell me this pen right now. And then the guy on the other end of the table was like, do you want a pen? And then the guy was like, no, I don't want a pen. And he was like, all right, well, I'm not going to sell it to you. And then the other guy was like, why are you going to sell it? Like, I'm asking you to sell it to me. He's like, well, if you don't want a pen, then why would I even sell it to you? Same thing here. If you go back, essentially, like, when this is not totally accurate, in reality, he already has and must already have the desire to lose weight inside him, because we're talking about here like some weight loss like headlines that could be there. This is what makes him a legitimate prospect for your product. So essentially it's like, let's say you're selling makeup. You can't sell makeup to somebody that doesn't want makeup. Try and go sell makeup to a 40-year-old male that, is just like the most manliest man of it all. He won't buy your makeup. Like, there's no way to convince him. He doesn't want the makeup. And this is funny because it's somewhat talking about ROAS here for all of us digital marketers, right? The amplification effect takes place only when advertising exploits already existing desire. When it tries to create this desire, it is no longer advertising but education. And as education, it can only produce at best $1 in sales for every dollar spent on advertising, which essentially means if you're just educating, if you're trying to convince people to buy what you sell, then at best you'll get about a 1x return on ad spend. And this is really where it's at. It's like the lever effect is to just move audiences. There's various ways in whichever this exists, but I'll try and give you an example that we probably all know. Let's think about Logan Paul as an example in KSI with their drink Prime. So both of them own attention, meaning they own millions of eyeballs that subscribe to their respective channels and will listen to whatever they do. Like if these guys say to go buy a yellow car, they'll go out there and buy a yellow car. So they know they own the attention. Like it's already there. They don't have to capture more eyeballs. They own it. Then second of all, they also know that one of the commonalities between this audience is the somewhat young demographic. They probably all are taking some form of caffeine, energy drinks, or any of that sort, right? On the flip side, probably a big part of them are either sport athletes or drink Gatorade, Powerade, and such. So it's like most of them want a drink that is going to give them energy, is going to taste good, and they trust these guys. So they channel that in order to create Prime. But if they went out there and tried to create, as an example, like a flowers company, probably wouldn't have worked because it's not necessarily something that their audience wants. So now, if we move on to that second learning, which is out of that section right here in this cheat sheet, the real purpose of your headline. In other words, the headline in this modern day and age is your hook, right? We call it the hook, whatever hooks the person in, whatever hooks the viewer, whatever is like makes that person stop scrolling, the thumb stop ratio you might have heard. So once you understand this perspective on desire, the real role of your headline comes into focus. According to Gene, that is to acknowledge that desire, reinforce it, and or offer the means to satisfy in a single statement in the headline of your ad. The headline is the bridge between your prospect and your product. It touches your prospect at the point of awareness, which we'll discuss in a second because that's another learning he has in this cheat sheet. And as it says right here, that is also something very important to note. Your headline, though it may never mention your product, is the first vital step in recognizing this mass desire, justifying and intensifying it, and directing its solution along one specific path. Which that too is something that I often see people mistaken online. A lot of people think like the hook or at least the ad headline has to have the product name. It's like I have to have my brand or product name right there, right? It's like buy this product, right? Product name is basically filled out right here. Or like not really, right? It entirely depends on the awareness level. If your customer happens to be product aware, then yes, you might just call out the product name from there. But if the customer is problem aware or solution aware, let's say, they know of other alternatives, but you have a brand new solution in the market, well, don't go out there and call the product name. Call out the fix to the problem your product is solving. And here in this cheat sheet, we also read that there's a 3-step questioning process that helps you build the foundation of an ad, which essentially helps you get your desire, awareness level, and sophistication stage, which are the 3 main components that make up an ad. Here, what is the mass desire that creates this market? So, which you've already discovered with the research essentially talked about right here. By the way, if you want to learn more about how I personally do research for this online space and leverage ChatGPT to help me out to create or to understand those mass market desires, click the link down below once again and join a free school community to learn more. Now, how much do these people know about the way your products satisfy their desire, right? So basically, how much do they know about the product in itself? Have they seen that product before? So their state of awareness or market awareness level. How many other products have been presented to them before yours? Which again, how sophisticated is the market, right? So it could be similar products or at least products that solve the same problem. So that dictates how sophisticated the market is. So as an example, if you have a product that solves knee pain, right? But it's a brand new mechanism, it's a brand new style of product. Let's just say, I don't know, you're using gamma ray in a little, pen-like device, and it's super concentrated and helps you solve knee pain. Okay, I'm just throwing some random invention right here. Has somebody ever seen that before? No. Now, how many other products that solve the same problem have been presented to your audience? Well, a ton, right? There's services too, right? Like chiros, physiotherapists, and there's a bunch of different treatments that have been proposed to them. So the audience is quite sophisticated. They know about the other solutions out there. But when it comes to the awareness level, do they really know about that product and how it can satisfy their desire, which is to get rid of knee pain? Probably not, because they're not aware of that product specifically. So that's kind of the difference essentially between the two. And although some of these principles might seem basic, I think a lot of people forget the basics at scale. So if you look at it right here as an example, like it says it right here, Eugene is famous for his statement that your headline has only one purpose: to get your prospect to read the next sentence in your ad. Which that would be, again, if it was like an actual copywriting form, something of that sort. But if you're talking of paid social, well, your headline, which is actually called your hook, its only purpose is to get the viewer to watch the rest of the video, right? Clickbait, as we call it today, or in fact, clickbait is another level above. That's like the initial headline, right? The video title, let's say, and like the thumbnail you have in an ad. So if you take a look at a Facebook ad as an example, the ad headline at the bottom of the ad and the thumbnail before a video plays is step one. That's like the first version of the headline, if you want, that gets the viewer to then pay attention to the ad. And then the hook determines if they're gonna watch through the rest of the ad, which is kind of your second headline. And then if they've watched through all of it, then your video or your ad should be strong enough in order to convince them to buy. And now here they go in reverse order into market awareness levels, which I've shared quite a lot on the channel, so I won't spend too much time right here. But essentially, you've got most aware prospects, which they kind of already know. As I said right here, it's like this is where the customer knows of the product, knows what it does, know they want it, but it just hasn't really gotten around to it. Maybe because of the price, maybe because of just busy life, they just haven't gotten around to it, but they just want to buy, which is typically where a lot of people are within Black Friday, Cyber Monday, right? And then you have level 2, which is he knows the products but doesn't yet want it, which essentially is product aware. So that's that. Level 3, which is solution aware, so how to introduce either new products. So the prospect either knows or recognizes immediately he wants what the product does, which means they know of the actual desire or fix the product has, but he doesn't yet know that there's a product that's your product in this case that will do it for him. So they know of different solutions, but not yours. Problem aware, so introduce products that solve needs. The prospect has not a desire, but a need. He recognizes the need immediately. So there's a pain point, a strong pain point, but he doesn't yet know how to fix it. That's it right here. And then finally, how to open up a completely unaware market, which is here the most difficult level of advertising, which is kind of this fine line between education and selling, which is trying to crack essentially like a brand new product that nobody's ever seen before, which at that point, as it says right here, this prospect is either not aware of his desire or need, or he won't even honestly admit it, or the need is so general and amorphous that it resists being summed up in a single headline, or it's secret, it can just be verbalized. So it's like something that is so deep or so hidden or so like new that it's very hard to convey value in a short statement to people. Now, I love this other bit, honestly, in this cheat sheet because it was talking about simplifying this kind of process. It was saying like, look, it sounds complicated. If you read breakthrough advertising, you start learning about all these things about like, okay, now I need to research my desire. Okay, now I need to research my persona. Okay, now I need to figure out how aware they are. And it's like, okay, now it makes you rethink how you've approached ads for years. And you start doubting, am I a good marketer? Am I doing this right? Are my ads even that strong? But trust me, after like, it's been about a year now that I started diving into this. I'd say about like 10 months that I really started diving deeper into all of that. And it becomes second nature. Like at some point you start thinking in these terms. You'll see a new ad on your Facebook feed, or whenever you need to create a new ad, you'll start asking yourself these questions. Okay, I need to make an ad today. Where's my prospect most likely to be right now? Or where's most of the market going to be at? How aware are they of whatever I'm trying to advertise? Okay, great. What are the biggest desires or pain points I can tap into in my market, right? Because those are things that a lot of marketers do just by inadvertence. It just kind of so happens that a lot of marketers have figured out just by looking at other Facebook ad libraries or libraries, let's say like foreplay.co. A lot of people will browse through that and be like, oh, that's a nice ad, or oh, like that's a strong one, and they'll either replicate it or they'll know like, okay, this ad needs to be problem, solution, or I need to fix like, what's my angle here? But when people say, what's my angle? Typically what they mean is, what's my desire and how am I attacking this desire? How am I dissecting this desire? When people say, oh, this ad is good, it's probably because they just can tell, or at least they start to have this intuition as a marketer that a certain ad meets the market where they're at, so with their awareness level. So those are things that you somewhat start to think about, and those are traits that you're on the right path to becoming a better marketer, right? Like if you ask yourself questions about specific ad angles you want to take, or again about why a certain ad looks great, it just stands out to you, that's like step 1 of becoming a decent marketer. Step 2 is mastering the fundamentals, and then step 3 is developing competence or marketing intuition, that I would call, which essentially is, without having to sit down and do this research, your ideas that come out to you are already based on these fundamentals, because you've seen so many ads, you've ran so many ads, you've seen so many brands that, like, at this point you just get it. Like, you get it, it becomes second nature to just think in ads and think in marketing fundamentals. And here what that says is, like, once you've gone through all of this, you boil it down to 3 things. What's my desire? What's my awareness level? How sophisticated the market is. That's it. It's as simple as that in its simplest form, essentially. Yes, each of these steps have different sub-steps to them to figure them out, but that's it. It all comes down to research. So now there's also market sophistication, which essentially we've already talked a little bit about that also in other videos. But if either you're first to market, so it's a brand new product, nobody's seen that before, you're second to do it, so there's a little bit of competition, but you're still somewhat new. Here the market has heard all of it before, so there's different claims, guarantees, the market starts to be a little bit saturated. Stage 4, where essentially, like, now there's different mechanisms, guarantees are being copied, offers are being copied left and right, so now it's becoming very saturated. And finally, there's stage 5, when basically nothing else works. It's like at that stage, everybody's tried it or already bought that product, and like, you need to revive a market. That market's dead. And here it's telling you something quite interesting, which is the last part I'd like to highlight out of this cheat sheet, is how do you advertise to the most sophisticated of all audiences? Because this is what's quite funny. It says it right here. How do you write headlines for stage 5 market awareness level and sophistication stage, like the most sophisticated prospect you can possibly find? It says, look, there's no step-by-step formula, but today, in this day and age, with this much advertising that's taking place, such as industries in the health, investment, business opportunity, internet marketing. And I found that quite funny, because that was written in 2007, which we all know that this is even worse today. Like, in 2007, they were saying that the market is becoming saturated to a point where a lot of industries are stage 5. So think about it today. If you think about it today, once again, a bulk of online industries are incredibly saturated, right? Think coaches of coaches. How many coaches of coaches have you seen, right? It's like somebody who is a coach and helps other people become coaches. And then these coaches actually will help other people become coaches. And then all of a sudden, people don't want to call it a pyramid scheme, but it's what it is, or an MLM. Anyways, story for another day. So to get back into that, essentially, like, here's what the person that wrote this cheat sheet said. Here's what I discovered. So how do you advertise to the most saturated market? Number 1, you got to know the daylights out of your prospects. So basically, you have to become an actual prospect in this market, which says it's the easiest way to advertise to a saturated market, right? So let's say you're an agency, you're advertising to e-commerce brands. Build your own brand. There's no better way to understand the market than building your own brand. You're a real estate marketer. You help real estate agents grow, become a real estate agent. There's no better way for you to understand the market, and you start resonating with them. Because to get out of stage 5 sophistication, what you must do is identification. The prospect has to identify themselves with you or the solution. There's no better way to do that if you're one of them. Now, number 2, play with putting your strongest possible feelings into words. At this point, I don't think there's really nothing new, but it's just saying, like, if you thought you had to get the desires or pain points right before, you can't mess this up at this level. Number 3, study what others have done before you. So we're incredibly lucky in this day and age, once again, because everything is public. Everything your competitors or other people in the industry are doing, you can see. So one of the easiest ways to see what are the winning ads and what is working for your competitors, take a look at ads that have been running the longest time. Not only can you see that now, but with the new EU transparency in, let's say, the Facebook Ads Manager or Facebook Ads Library, I should say, you can take a look at even ads that were killed off. Like, inactive ads still stay there. So you can look at previous ads they've ran and how long they ran them. And if an ad ran for a short period of time, it's safe to assume it didn't work. If an ad ran for a long period of time, safe to assume it did work. So that, again, you're incredibly lucky. They did not have that much data back in 2007. And as it says right here, which I will honestly emphasize, practice, practice, practice. The amount of times I've had to do marketing research this year alone is astronomical. Like, I've had to do research after research after research for, first of all, every new customer that came through our business. We had about, I think so far this year, 16 new brands coming up to the agency, which again forces us in a way to research the brand, the industry, the market every single time. And how many times we have to launch new product lines, new collection, extend to new markets with current clients. It just forces you as a marketer to step up. There's like me today, the Justin today versus the Justin 3.5 years ago that had $0 in ad spend, had never ran a single ad in his life, and had no clue what like the e-commerce space really was in general, is like night and day difference. I do have a lot more confidence today. I can much more quickly write copy. I can much more quickly come up with ad ideas, and the ad ideas I do come up with are usually much better at the first go. Instead of like usually coming up with an idea, doing a test and it fails, I typically have much better ideas today that have a higher success rate when launching them. And that's simply through practice. So once again, if you've watched through all of this video and you want to learn more about how I personally apply all of that to the e-commerce and advertising world and my exact process for translating that into my ad process, check the link down below and join a free school community. And if you are an e-commerce brand owner watching this video, you want to partner with a paid media, paid search, or performance creative growth firm, then click the link down below and book in a call on our paidadvertising.com website. So on that note, I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.